What's going on, guys? Well, today I have some bad news for you, but yet some good news. Bad news. There will be no complication with the other two. I got a message earlier from one of them wanting to. There's some sort of not mystical, but planetary alignment. Like all the planets are going to be in alignment. So when you look into the night sky tonight, you're going to see all the planets in a straight line, which hasn't happened in a long time. The next time this will happen will be, I think, in 2040. So one of the crew members said that she didn't want to do it tonight, that she wanted to be up in the mountains meditating, and I get it, no problem. So I was like, well, I'm not going to screw you guys over. I mean, I told you guys last night we'd be here. So you know what? I just came up with a topic last minute on what I could talk about, because I'm not going to abandon you guys. I promised you I'd be here. So, you know, I will hold up my end of the bargain, and I love to teach you guys. So again, I just came up with this topic. And this is coming from the personal experience and what I am going through right now. What's the cost of awakening, right? What are the end effects of awakening to the game, to realizing the truth? And yes, I have a distinct disadvantage over you guys, right? I've had a near-death experience. I know what it's like. I know the truth. There is no escaping that. Hey, Evo, how are you? Oh, there you are. Sure. Um, well, there we go. It's here. We got one here. Um, Banners. Here we go. Oh, there we go. Come on. So I would talk about this right now. So wait till Vanessa gets in here. I didn't think she'd pop in because Tammy's not coming in. She's doing her planetary alignment. Gina, hi. How are you? It is so good to see you. I love you, hon. Um, the cost of awakening is quite brutal. All right. I mean, when you go through your ascension process, hey Bardo, how you doing, man? Right? Going through your ascension process is painful because you're being redesigned while you're alive in your body, you know, from the inside out. But the cost of awakening, that to me is even not in physical pain, more brutal, but more brutal because when I try and enter society, that's correct. So that is absolutely correct. There's no going back to who I once thought was Jason Janis, right? Every time I open up the door to go out to go do something, I know what I'm looking at. It's the past. It doesn't exist. None of you are actually really there, right? That all of you ants scurrying around to get your little bit of scraps to, I'm going to go to dinner tonight. I'm going to go to the movies night. I'm going to go here. I'm going to go to the lake. I'm going to do this, right? I just see it. It just makes me want to throw up. Hey, Laura, how are you? I'm glad that you are here too. I love you all, right? So when I see this, hey, Vanessa, did you get in? It didn't show me that you were in. So when I look at all of it, it turns my stomach. I don't even want to be a part of it. And I still have to live in the dream, right? I still have to recognize and know that what I'm looking at is the past. Okay? Let that sink in, guys. Okay? Let that sink in. What I am looking at when I walk out that door, or when you guys walk out to go to work, go do this, go to the grocery store, right? You're looking at the past. Like tonight, when you look up at the night sky and you see all the planets aligned in a row, it happened a billions of years ago. There's nothing there, right? Yeah, no problem, hon. So for me, it's like when you're watching a movie with your partner, but your partner saw the movie and he goes, "Oh, I know how this ends," and he gives you the end of the show, and you look at him like, "Well, great, pal, thanks." You know, I was looking forward to watching this. That's what it's like for me, right? You get mad because your partner blabbed it out, and they look at you like, right? I know the end of the game, right? I know what's taking place. And it's just so not disheartening, but I'm uninterested in it. This is where my passion is. This is where I now thrive, right? And somebody asked me last night with the live I did last night. He's like, "So what happens at the end of the week?" And you, because I'm out of money, right? This morning I paid for another week. I'm out of money, guys, right? Yesterday, mid morning, I got 3 emails come in saying, "Well, thank you for applying, but we don't want you," right? I'm not meant to have those jobs. So if I were to keep applying and applying and applying, right? Because this is called what? Divine timing. If you right, like a good friend of mine, Sean, he's had 2 near-death experiences. He loves being in the body. He loves being in this. For me, it's just like Jesus. I have no desire to be here anymore. Okay. I have no desire. I don't want to go on a lake. I don't want to go on. I don't mind going for a walk in the woods. Being in the woods, going on a hike in thick woods and thick nature, that is very relieving for me. That's home to me. Okay. But being around like where I'm at now in a city, it's almost vile to me. I feel all the hate, the negativity, the violence, right? And I don't like it. But to others, there's nothing. Go out and enjoy it. Don't worship it. There's the right word. Okay. Don't worship it, right? Your father built an altar, and on that altar should be one thing and one thing only, and that is of your father. I worshiped so many false idols. I love my bass guitars. I wanted to be John Taylor from Duran Duran. I wanted this. I worshiped all the wrong things. And what did it bring me? Pain, misery, and eventually death. Just like my brother told me 2 millennia ago. And it, in fact, came true. But you can still enjoy being out on the lake. Say, you know what? I had a wonderful time. I had a wonderful time tonight. Beautiful. Do that. If you have a muscle car, like I will eventually, right? I will enjoy going for a cruise in my car. Well, is that wrong? No, I'm not worshiping that car anymore. It's not above my father. Like I said, I took the table, the altar, and I swiped it clean. There's nothing on there anymore. Now, this is a personal choice, guys. Okay. It is simply a personal choice. This is how I now feel. As Gina said, there's no going back anymore, right? I can never go back to who that person was. It's impossible. And that's beautiful. Good for you. Good for you, Marie. I hope you rode that mechanical bull too. But my point being is there's a cost, there's a price that you pay. Being an empath, right? A profoundly deep empath, it comes with a brutal cost of knowing what all of this is, right? She said it correctly. There's no going back. There's none. I cannot, nor do I want to take part in any of it. Now, for those here that are listening to me or will watch this later that haven't had a near-death experience, all you know is what you are experiencing right now. So when I tell you, when Jesus said, live in the moment of now, it's almost hypocrisy, right? Because now doesn't exist. Everything that is taking place was in the past. The past doesn't exist. Like the angel or the Holy Spirit said on October 3rd, Jason, the past doesn't exist. So that means in the moment of now, which this is also the past, which doesn't exist. Okay. So when you know that, what you know that is taking place doesn't exist, it already happened. Again, it's you turning on the TV after a long day of work. Oh, I love that movie, but you've seen it 5 times. It's a rerun. That's what this is. This, what is taking place, is the rerun of something that took place a billions and billions of years ago. So when I walk out that door, like I did this morning to go re-up my last week, right? I'm looking at everything and I'm forgiving myself for what I am seeing, because I created this a long time ago. Evo, Jason, I'm ready. Can you post it again? Sure thing, hon. And so I'm walking when I'm out doing things now. I'm forgiving myself. Like when I'm buying groceries, I'm forgiving the cashier, right? Because I'm putting the cashier there, right? And it's with whatever I do. Okay, I am constantly forgiving myself. Now, do I have to do it constantly? No, but I'm doing it on a consistent basis because I know what I'm experiencing isn't real. That's the real cost of awakening. That's the aftermath of what is taking place. Now, all of you seem like somebody said, Jason, but it seems so real. It's meant to be real. You don't, and again, guys, you misunderstand how powerful you are, right? This is the ultimate video game. This is the ultimate high def, in your face reality video game. It's just called your life or lives, right? Because you've already lived them. The moment of that big bang. And here's another thing I'll explain to you guys, which I don't think you understand, is when you change timelines. Because in this version of yourself, this timeline that you're in, there's 100 different versions of you experiencing 100 different things in this moment of now. Okay. And I'll give you an example. You've been walking left your whole life, right? You just like going left, right? And then one day you say, you know what? I'm tired of going left. I'm going to go right. Okay. The moment you've decided to go right, you created another big bang. Okay. Boom. That explosion took place again. You changed or jumped timelines into a higher vibrational state, right? Because you chose love, you chose something else. So now you created another big bang. Okay. Now that you started walking right. Well, that version of you is still going left, not to mention a version of you that is going straight, and another version of you that turned around and went back left the other way, right? There's 100 different versions of yourself, guys. But the fact that you changed or leveled up in vibration, another big bang took place, right? Boom, there you are. And sometimes many of you will feel it. You get a weird gorpy feeling, or get lightheaded, or woozy, or a sick feeling. You've changed frequencies, and you did it real quick, not a slow, like a slow gradual process. It is the worst case of Groundhog Day. Almost. Yes, absolutely. Hey, Eve, I posted it again. So it's like a worst case, right? But the whole point of you coming here, and this is your father's number one, what he wants you to understand, what God wants you to understand more than anything. Okay. It is imperative. And when I mean imperative, it is the number one thing, and there's going to be a two following it, is you need to figure out who you are. Okay. My near-death experience did that. Okay, guys, I know who I am. There is no going back, as Gina so beautifully said. Okay, none. But for the rest of you that have not had a near-death experience, something within you, right? Your soul is awakening to say, hey, we've got to get things going. And that's because of the transition that is taking place, right? To the shift in dimensions, 5D, okay? It's not a raise in consciousness, it's a shift. Consciousness is, kind of, God is. Okay. We're going to have some. Hi, honey.
Hello,
How
hello.
are you? I didn't think you'd come here because Tammy, declined. And I'm like, well, okay,
I
you know
know.
what? I'm going to come on. I'm not going to let these guys down. And I was like, you know what? People don't even understand that when you have a near-death awakening, the aftermath effects, are brutal, right? So I'm like, you know what? We'll talk
Yeah.
about that tonight. It's so good to see you, though, hon. Thank you for coming.
You too, me too. Yeah, Tammy is today. She's in the mountain, and and so no, I told her that I was available, but I was helping a friend up to in her store today, so I thought I connected and see if you mentioned me, and I'll let you know that I was there. That if you want me to, I
Oh, of
can,
course. Yes,
because
yes.
I had made the commitment, and yes, I am committed to being here every Saturday with you as long as everything permits it, right?
Then absolutely. And I was like, beautiful, but I wasn't, because I didn't know. So I was like, I'm not gonna stick it to these
Yeah,
guys. I gotta answer Marie. If God wants us to do that, you're learning that through your experiences, Marie. Not everybody's going to have a near death experience. You don't get that instant knowing. Okay. So
no,
it is through your life, through your experiences, through the people you meet, the experiences that you go through. It's an eventual moving process of going up the hill. Right now, it's a slow process. And as God said, if this is going to take you many, 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 many lifetimes to finish. It is not going to be a one and done thing like the church says. Okay. So this is going to take hundreds, if not 1,000, 1,200, 1,300 lifetimes for you to fully accomplish awakening. But you're being progressed through that right now through what is taking place in the planet right now with our moving into the 5D consciousness. And you, as the rest of us, are starting to awaken. You're seeing the angel numbers, you're starting to see the synchronicities, your third eye is opened up, and you are starting to say, man, 1 and 1 isn't adding up to 2 anymore, right? You're looking at near death experiences, you're listening to those experiences, right, of others, and then you're connecting with something that resounds profoundly deeply within you. For you, it was me. There's a couple others, but for other people, it's other people. It doesn't matter who they are. It's the fact that your soul is saying, listen, listen, you need to listen. And you're being, as you said, divine timing, being pushed in that direction, right? Telkwire, what is going up, friend? How are you? So, guys, tonight, while we have Vanessa here, and I've rambled for 20 minutes, ask any question that you want. Okay. I was just going to come on and just be another live tonight. I didn't know Vanessa was coming. So, questions, I don't care what they are, ask them. If you want specifically Vanessa or me, put them in the comment section so we can see them. If you want to come into the studio to ask us face to face, there it is. Okay. But please, this is your evening. Okay. This is specifically designed for you. Or Vanessa and I can talk and you guys can listen to it and ask questions. But this is tonight, Saturdays are for you guys. Do you? Of course. Remember where God found Jesus, right? Not only in another dimension, but Jesus was a highly advanced being. So whether he was a Pleiadian, a Syrian, an Anunnaki, or a Syrian, it doesn't matter. Jesus was a highly advanced being from a highly advanced society. So when Father went to him, he was a master. Okay, he was up there living in a highly advanced society. Those two had a powwow, and Jesus even said, look, man, I don't think these guys are ready for what I'm about to be teaching them. And God said, look, man, I need you now. And look, God was right. We're still stuck on the 10-yard line. We haven't moved after the greatest human being to ever walk this planet to teach nothing but unconditional love, acceptance, and forgiveness, we're still stuck. We're still murdering. We're still raping. We're still harming our babies, our children, our offspring. We haven't moved off the 10-yard line, and it's been 2,000 years. So does Jesus knew at the time? Of course he knew who he was. So that's why I said I couldn't have done his job, right? He knew who he was. He knew what he was experiencing was simply the past, a dream, right? That none of what was taking place was actually taking place, right? So of course he knew who he was. Absolutely, without question. That's why I was saying, I don't think I could not do that. It's hard for me to live now knowing what I know. Okay. And to be, he has all my praise for what he did for us. I find nature to be a escape from it all. I connect with the source that he wants us to be out. Remember how I told you last night when Jesus and Mary were together as teenagers in young love? Where did they go? They snuck away into the woods, right? And into nature, where they would lean against trees and do what young couples do when they fall in love, just be giddy with each other, right? Jesus didn't, he still too had to play the game, right? He couldn't just say, listen guys, this shit's a joke. None of it's real. Like I can with you in the modern age, right? He was under Roman occupation, and the church had and did have the power to kill, right? So he really had to walk on a little bit of eggshells in the way he went around doing things. Doesn't mean that he still didn't come up here to muddy up the water until to do what he did. He did it brilliantly, and he didn't stop, even though 2 years before his own. So when he was 31 years old, he knew he was going to be crucified. He had free will, guys, right? He could have run away into the Judean desert, could have sailed across the sea, ran. No, he did what he came here to do. I'm doing what I came here to do. That's why the Holy Spirit, or that angel encounter I had in October, said, Jason, you are in alignment and you are powerful. You know what? And he said, you are the light of the world. My God, that hasn't been spoken in 2,000 years. And for him to say that to me, that's powerful, right? Jesus is cheering us all on. You are absolutely correct, right? I want you guys to know that what you are experiencing right now here with Vanessa and I is the past. This already happened, okay? When I tell you all of you are safely at home with Father right now, you are just put yourself into a deep, deep sleep. And this is what you are dreaming. It's being projected out through your eyes. Your body is just a projector. That's why it's so insignificant. It's so meaningless. It's of such littleness, I should say, right? So everything you're seeing and hearing right now is exactly what you went to God and asked him to experience. But it already happened. That's what I call the little gap, right? When we all of a sudden, straight line, all of a sudden, boom, right? The big bang, and God said, whoa, guys, whoa. He fixed it, right? It all got blanked out, and then the straight line went again, right? So what you're experiencing is inside that little gap. But what's inside that little gap? He fixed it. Nothing. That's where all your fears, your anxiety, your depression, all worries are lying inside that little gap, which in there is nothing. Nothing. Because what you're experiencing is nothing but a hallucination, a dream, right? You don't wake up from your nightmare and, you don't have stab wounds or bullet wounds in your body, do you? No, that was just a dream. Well, you haven't woken up from the dream yet. That's death, which is just as natural as being born. It's part of the process. It's life. It's beautiful. You just don't know it. That's fear. Is fear real? No. Right? So what's there to fear? So Jason, have you ever spoken with Yeshua personally? They communicate, like I told you, through your feelings, right? Very rarely will you ever hear, some do, I have not. Now I cannot, Vanessa, she can answer this too, okay? Because she's had speakings. He communicates with me through love. and a deep feeling. I'll get very emotional, like when I'm worried about, am I going to be living in my car in a week, right? He answered all of that, right? Through a couple messages. I broke down and cried. He's talking to me, right? My guides are talking to me. Father's talking to me. He talks to you through your emotions and your feelings. Do not, and I listen to me, guys, do not ever dismiss your feelings and emotions, whether I'm talking to the male vehicles or the females. Do not dismiss your feelings. That sixth sense that goes off, like I'm going to go out somewhere and all of a sudden you get that sick feeling in your gut that I shouldn't be going somewhere. Listen to it. Okay. They're talking to you. All right. Listen to it. And I encourage each and every one of you males out there, please be in touch with those feelings. It's okay to sit and cry. I sat and cried for the last 2 days, uncontrollably at times, right? Because they're feeding me this information and I'm getting it through love. Of course, they talk to you through technology and songs and angel numbers, your emotions and feelings. Be in tune with those. Okay. Let them come in. It's who you are. It's your natural state of being.
Yes.
Love is your natural state of being. So I'll let Vanessa answer it when she gets communication.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, for those who are wondering, yes, I have many conversations with Jesus. Okay, direct conversations. Yes, I have had them, and I can tell you, yes, that's why I speak so much and emphasize so much on our feelings and emotions. Because again, as I was told to tell, right, to speak about this so much, that feelings and emotions are the only common grounds, only. So make a big note and think about what I'm saying right now, please. The only common grounds between the spiritual and the physical, meaning that they are the only ones we experience when we cross over. This is why we never die, because think about what I'm saying. If you never lose, if you never can stop yourself from feeling, from emoting, and from sensing, those three, okay? How can you be dead? You may not have a body, but you cannot be dead if you are feeling, if you're emoting, and if you are sensing. And those, in a grounded way, I'll explain that those come through a vibration, okay? Vibration and frequency. And when we cross over, although we don't have a body anymore, okay, we do have our energy, which is our energetic body, which is our soul, which is full of exactly that, because it's made of light, and it is full of vibrational frequency. So if we cannot stop the vibrational frequency inside the atoms or inside energy itself, you will never be able to stop your emotions, your sensations, and your feelings from happening. And that's the reason why also I will say, when the soul separates, when you read about all these NDErs like us, right? Because I have had two near-death experiences, plus many other STEs. But when when that moment comes, right? When we have those experiences, that's why when the soul separates, for some and many, they do see their body, right? They separate from the body, they see the body over there, but there's a lapse of confusion because the person is feeling, sensing over here, and they're conscious over here, because consciousness does not come from our biology. It comes from energy and vibration, and again, feelings, emotions, and sensations. That's what consciousness is all about. But when they are looking, right, they're watching their body down there, and they say, but who's this? Because I feel that I'm here and I'm looking at my body over there. So there's the confusion, because all along we thought that we needed a body to be able to be conscious, to feel, to sense, and to emote. And that's not the truth. Okay. So I hope that brings a little bit of clarity and groundedness to the process of death, that it doesn't occur in the way that we perceive it too, okay? Because the body does without its energy source, like any car, right? If you take the battery out of your car is not gonna be able to move. It's gonna die, right? So in the same way, your battery doesn't come from your biology. Your battery comes from your energy. And actually, to ground it even more, one of the divine conversations, right, that I've had in my process, because in my case, my experiences came in a way so that I can teach about spirituality, but in a grounded way, okay? So everything came for me in terms of science and how to bridge both science and spirituality. And so I can tell you without a doubt, without a doubt, right, that death does not exist as we believe it to. So all those people we know that have passed, family, and even Jesus, right? The energy of who they are, which is their vibrational frequency, still exists, okay? It will never die. It doesn't ever die. And that's how it is. It is eternal. Life is eternal. Life never stops, never ever stops. So it keeps on going. It goes. It's ruled by law, by physical laws, because light is, and quantum physics is already starting, right? Starting to accept all these things. But yes, most definitely, yes. And we don't have, and I want to tell you also, we don't have to die to experience these things, okay? Because we are all made in the same way. We are all made from particles of light, okay? And we all have the same capabilities, just that some people are more sensitive than others, but it doesn't mean that you're not capable of connecting in this way. We're all built in the same way. We are all made of that same light, divine light. We carry all inside the same potentiality. It's a matter of the issue with us humans. It is that we were not, since we have believed that we were never divine, that we are not capable of that level, right? Of that capacity of reaching that point, which I'm sure everybody here wants to. But we were told always, and we've been programmed to believing that this is not who we truly are. But our core beings are made of the same divine light. And we will return to that, because that is our true nature and make, okay? And that light is not bound to this physical realm, because this physical realm is composed of a lot of density, right? So we enter from So look at it in the scientific way. We've passed from a light and energy, right? Light source into something that is intangible to something that is solid. And the change from that state, in terms of science, right? The change from a intangible, or let's say gaseous plasma state, to a physically solid state, so that something takes form. It doesn't mean that it doesn't exist, because there's a lot of matter. Has 4 states of existence. It has gases, it has liquids, it has solids, and it has also has plasma, which is the universal state of matter. Okay, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. It's just that we cannot perceive it with our eyes. Okay, but when we are in this state, in the solid state, density needs to exist. So that's why, because then our vibrations, the atoms that compose our body, our other body, our physical body, are going to be, in order to form, they need to lower their frequency, okay? Because they're compacted in a solid, right? In a solid, atoms cannot vibrate to the same velocity they do like in a gas, where they are very separate apart. They become very light. That's why we see our souls floating, right, over, very light. Very, very, the emotions are very heightened in that other side, because of the intensity of the velocity the atoms are vibrating. In this state, the vibration is much lower. So if we want to have a good, right, a higher vibration in this current state that we are, right, in this dense state that we are, we need to purposely work on it. It's not going to happen on its own. And the way to do that, right, the way to do that is by purposely doing the healing through our emotions. Again, our hoarded emotions, the things that since childhood we have been hoarding a lot of emotional. This happens all unconscious, okay? But our unconscious takes all these vibrational frequencies of all the experiences and traumas that we have lived, that we all have lived. Nobody can escape this, okay? But if we don't use those vibrations properly, and we don't purge them, and we don't cleanse them, and we don't become aware, that we self-aware of what we've been carrying inside, we are in a lower frequency. We maintain the body in a lower frequency than what we would like to be, because if we cleanse that and we continuously work on ourselves to purge and let go of all the low vibration that does not serve us, okay, we are going to be creating from a clean state, from a higher vibrational frequency. So this is a path that one commits to, being a better person, wanting and desiring to maintain ourselves to the level of whatever potentiality level we want to reach. It is our choice to do that. And it is a path that you are the only one that can direct it towards where you want it to go. It's not easy, but it is doable, and it all depends on you. It all depends on you. So let me see. Vanessa, since you mentioned bridging science and spirituality. Have you ever looked into quantum physics? Yes, a lot of my experiences, as I said, came about through quantum physics. A lot of information of downloads, years of downloads and confirmation through quantum physics about how does this work, so that I would understand and so that I could transmit it to others and teach about this. But yes, I would love to learn more about the soul itself, how it functions, and what not. What not itself. How
The
it functions.
scientist in me is always curious, like in a laboratory of
Well,
some
the
high-end
science,
science.
yeah, well, the scientists in you, it's the same. Science and spirituality have always spoken about the same thing. It's just that the way it's presented to us, we have divided everything in the in the world. Nothing is divided. Nothing is separate from one another. So spirituality and science have always been the same. But the perspective in which they've been presented to us is not in the language, and so that has caused a lot of confusion. Okay, but yes, the soul, basically, as I said, soul, and I'm gonna explain it. Let me see. We are, okay, our purest spirit. Let's say spirit, which is spirit is the same as light energy equals, okay? It is the same, and that is our source. God, call it God, call it source, call it however you want to call it. It is the essence that composes everything, all creation, and every unseen and seen, okay? It is the very fabric and essence. So look at it as a tapestry, or as a material, right? Like an ocean. And that ocean, or that material, that divine material, raw material, composes everything that exists. So nothing isn't separate from God or from light energy. Light energy and God are in and out of everything. And that a light is a living light. It's just not any light, okay? It has intelligence, what I call autonomous intelligence, AI. AI, okay? Autonomous intelligence or authentic intelligence, either way, okay? I like to explain it in that way. And has, right? So that's our consciousness. That's what makes our consciousness, because think about it. Who told the atoms how to join with one another, right? To compose the elements of the periodic table. No one did. No one told the oxygen how to come about. The atoms knew how to bond with each other to conform a molecule of oxygen. And that intelligence, that knowing that it is within, is what to create, right? To create the elements. That knowing is what is consciousness. And that consciousness is inside everything, okay? But it is living consciousness, right? Because it bursts life. That spirit, which is energy, is our battery. It's the ignition. That's how I like. That's the electro in the magnetic, right? That's the electro. That's the ignition, the igniting force that is vibrating. Then the vibrational frequency is what our soul is. So light energy, or our spirit, is different from our soul. Our spirit is those igniting force, right? And soul is the vibrational frequency of that light source or that consciousness, right? So vibrational frequency of God or of light is always the highest, in the highest velocity, in the highest intensity, in the purest light and the purest. So that is experienced, felt for us as unconditional love when we are in the other side, okay? And as it has been for me also in this side. But needless to say, so our soul is what makes us human unique, because God only vibrates in one frequency, which is unconditional love or spirit or that source. We, on the other hand, okay, since we're here and here is dense, we have a plethora of feelings and emotions. And you know, we do, right? We do have a plethora aside from love, okay? And our love is a tainted one, because our love, again, comes from our hurts. We learn to love in the way we were taught and from what we see. And what we see and taught is not the level of which this other love is in, okay? So it's a very, very low vibration from what divine is in. And we are learning to transmute, to in these experiences that we're having, we're learning to precisely cleanse those feelings and emotions and transmute them, transform them into higher levels of love. So that's what we're doing. But the soul and the spirit are not the same. That's why a lot of people get confused about these things and how to understand one from another. They're not separate from one another. They're the same. But one is composed of your beliefs. Your personal frequency is composed of your emotions and your beliefs, the beliefs that support those emotions. And your spirit, right? Your spirit is made of pure energy, pure light energy. And so let me see, enjoying something a lot can cause a little magic. Yes, it does. That positive energy, it's love and attention. Yeah, we are the universe in a
In a
body.
body.
Yes, we
Yes,
are.
that's exactly
Yes,
it. Yep. You are
yes.
God pretending to be you. Okay.
Mhm.
So you are everything.
No separation, no separation.
No. Nope.
So we need to learn to use that potentiality that we always have to its highest.
Absolutely.
But
Yep.
that it is a self-driven path that we commit to. It has to be chosen,
Right. And that's why
purposely
you guys
chosen.
are here, right? Why are you guys here? You could be anywhere doing anything on a Saturday night. And why are you guys here with Vanessa and I? Right? Because you are trying to experience that higher version of yourself, that higher frequency, right? That Vanessa just spoke about, right? So, as Gina said, we are the universe in a body. That's exactly correct. You are the universe pretending to be you in a limited physical form for a very small amount of time, right? So it's like a drop in the ocean, right? The drop of the ocean or the wave thinks it's nothing more and it's insignificant, but it doesn't realize that it is the ocean, right?
Yeah.
It's in that moment, in that specific moment, it's just a wave crashing down, being returned to the whole, guys. But that, yes.
Paulette asked, we can achieve according to our circumstances. Can we change our circumstances? You can change your circumstances every time, today. It is a decision away. You are the only one that can change those But again, you need to become self-aware first so that you know why you are where you are right now. What are your circumstances? What's going on in your life right now? What has happened in your life since childhood, again, that has driven you to be where you are right now? Are you aware of that? Very aware, because again, and I'm gonna give some statistics here so that you know. 95% of people think, when asked, that they are self-aware. The truth is that only 10 to 15% of the whole world's population, so imagine it's 8 billion, imagine, truly are or meet the criteria, okay? So most probably the truth is that most of us aren't fully aware because we're so embedded, right, in our physical experience that we're accustomed to dealing with life in the same way we've dealt with it for so long. And it requires for silence, for ourselves to be silenced, right? We take time out and we journal and we go back. I always tell people we need to go back when I'm coaching, right? We need to go back and start from childhood. That's our first. And why I say that, because so that you know, when we are little, until our age of 7, going on to 8 approximately, that's when our we are, everything we experience in life, everything, doesn't matter, we experience it from our emotions. That's why children are so pure and honest. They have not created up to that time the mental maturity to reason and to use reason and logic. So everything they do from a pure state of emotion. And they're more spiritual, because when we are connected to our emotions, again, emotions, feelings, sensations are the only common ground between the spiritual and the physical. So that's why children are little angels, right? They're connected directly with their emotions. So they are in a, let's say, higher spiritual state than we are. Once we cross that moment, right? All the and I love when Dyer explained this so very well. I don't know if you guys know who he is, but you can go and search, because he called it right, when the ego was created. We create our ego. Our personality, our character is built from age about eight and on. And we start then using our ego more, and our character and our personality, which was shaped from from the experiences that our fathers, what we saw, the kind of environments we were in, especially from mom and dad, okay? And many of us, whether right or not, okay, some of us do go through a lot of trauma when we are little, and others perhaps are not aware that they have the trauma, but they come from families that were nurturing, and the child, since he didn't have the reasoning, right, could have misunderstood anything, and that creates a low vibration at that moment when we were small. So that's where the trauma doesn't mean that we have to be abused or nothing like that. Trauma is that it was a shock to the system, to the central nervous system, and the central nervous system didn't know how to respond to that event, whatever event it was. The problem is, or the issue is, that those frequencies, since we're small, and the child doesn't have the capacity to process them correctly. Okay, so he goes through life thinking, for example, and I'm going to give a personal example, right? I carried a lot of guilt, okay, because I uh, since four, I was four, yeah, when I went to started school, and I went to a missionary Christian school all my life. And so I have a very strong connection with Jesus, okay? And since very little, I felt that connection, okay? But I have to say that because of religious beliefs that as they were presented to me, right? I had always thought, and I had carried a lot of guilt because of this, that I had that man, that good man, had died because of my fault, and that I had killed him. Okay, so that's a lot of
It's
guilt.
traumatizing.
It's traumatizing for the
Yep.
child.
Yep.
And we all carry that, and in the Catholic even more, because they say my right from my fault is my so all these things, understand, the religion, a lot of circumstances can cause a lot of damage to children. And so we go, and all this has purpose, okay? Nothing is left. All this has a huge purpose, because if I hadn't lived that amongst the rest of the things that I was living back then, I wouldn't be where I am right now, okay? So definitely that I carried a lot of guilt. And one of the things that was clarified by Jesus himself, right, when I had my experience, was, Vanessa, no, this is not what was meant to be understood. It's not in the way that it was meant to be, because again, that had lowered for a lot of time my life, carrying this guilt for so many years, okay? And so I learned, like, I felt like I was bad. I was a bad person, okay? I was a broken person. Something was wrong with me. What kind of person was I to have been carrying, done something like this to such a good person like Jesus? Okay, so understand that these things, whether we're aware or not, they stay in our vibrational frequency. And if we're not aware that we're carrying those types, and it works with the subconscious, okay? It doesn't work with the conscious mind. It works with the subconscious mind, which is in our body, in our
Deep.
brain.
Very
It's
deep.
in the limbic system. It's controlled by the limbic system, which is it is in the right center, in the most deep center of the brain. Okay, that's why it's called subconscious, because the conscious, it works with the outer core of the brain, and the subconscious is really embedded in the real center, and that's what controls our emotions and our feelings. And so that's why we're not consciously aware, that we're carrying this. And that's why it is so important for us to do journaling, to go back in life and look at the things that we have lived through life and how we've handled them, okay? How we've handled our behavior. So you turn your vision within yourself instead of looking at people and look what this person did to me, or look at that person what they did to me. The world always, life always mirrors back what we are carrying within our vibrational frequency. Always. We're attracting that because it works through laws of physics. And if we are vibrating low, that's what we're going to keep on. And until we don't, and those energies that we've kept inside without being able to purge, because the child was not able to release and be aware of this, stays growing inside, because energy can only grow, only expands. So with time and cycles of going through life, we're going to see that our circumstances, which was the question that Paulette made, our circumstances are going to be tainted by patterns and things that are going to repeat themselves, not necessarily in the same way, but in the same emotional way for us. So those emotional patterns are going to keep on showing, and the way we handle it, and it is all signaling, a big signal, big uh, arrow pointing at exactly what needs to be
Addressed.
healed, addressed
Yep.
at an emotional level, from so that we can cleanse it. And that's where the atonement that the Bible speaks about, right? It's the atonement means repair. That's what atonement means. Repair, so that you can repair your soul, okay? Your energy in motion, your emotions, so that you can heal that, release it, and let it go, because it is not going to serve you. And if we stay there, not cleaning that, we're going to be acting and reacting through life through our wounded spaces, which is how people live.
That's what you see in the world today, all the negativity or all the darkness,
Yeah, the
right?
negativity we see in the world, it's a product of how unhealed people are or aren't. So
Right.
when people act towards you in a certain way, you cannot understand why they did that. That speaks about what that person, not about you. It's about what that person has lived in his life, and what he's carrying within that he hasn't healed. Okay?
Correct. That's what I tell you
So
guys, when you're projecting your own unconscious fear and guilt onto that person. When you attack that person, you're mirroring your own fears, correct? So what do? You do it subconsciously. You attack them, you verbally abuse them, you may hit them, you may accost them, or they're doing it to you. That's what she's talking about. You're their
exactly.
mirror, right? You have all that unhealed trauma and darkness within you, right? So you're only going to vibrate at that frequency, right? So that's why a woman say, why can't I attract a good man? Why do I attract the abuser, the one who rapes me and beats me? She has that low vibrational energy and darkness within her that she has not healed. You will not rise until you heal and let go of that, but it starts with you. You must go within to do this. Okay, that's what Vanessa's talking about. You have to heal that. I've talked to you guys about you have to face your fears. You have to go back into that childhood. I had to relive those beatings. I had to relive that abuse, right? I had to face it and let it go and forgive, right? What does Jesus teach you? To forgive those, to forgive your neighbor, because that neighbor is you, right? So, and until you can do that, you will remain in that low vibrational state. And what she said, you'll keep repeating those same patterns until you fix the problem. Okay.
Yeah.
And the problem is you. So you must go within, guys. That's what I've been teaching you from the very beginning. Meditate, yoga, go sit in the woods, quiet your mind. This is not your mind. Your mind is at home, right? And it's going to vibrate at that frequency. That's why you were born into the family you were born into. You match their frequency, right? You have to heal within. It's all within you, not this, but it's within your mind.
Yeah,
Let it go.
when you heal, you not only, that's your contribution to the universal field of consciousness. Okay, you're contributing with your frequency, your quality of vibration contributes all the time to the universal field of consciousness. So that's why we need to be very mindful and always turn, every time we have distress or we feel bad, it's a good time to do introspection, to go within. Okay, what's here? And the question that we should always do: what am I being taught? What lesson, what is it that I need to pay attention about myself, that I need to heal, that I need to work on, that I have not embraced, that this situation is trying to teach me? Because everything we live works in this way, always, always, always. Somebody asked, hey Vanessa, have you ever seen the movie called Vanilla Sky? Do you think it could relate to us in any way, shape, or form? No, I have not. I'm sorry, I have not. I have not watched that movie.
I don't
Uh,
remember what it was. It was with Tom Cruise. It was
huh?
kind of like a, it wasn't kind of a spiritual movie, but it was kind of sci-fi-ish in a way, where kind of what he was thinking was coming into reality, or what, bad moments or good moments, you would see things fold in on themselves and then change. So in a way, it kind of
Uh-huh.
is, you know,
Okay.
thoughts creating reality.
I'm gonna look for it. I'm gonna look for it. I'm curious now, and I'll let you know. But yes, definitely, they were saying here that we create our own reality, and that's it. We are
Mhm.
the creator, and we have to take accountability for what we created. Because whether good or bad, okay, let me tell you, one of the things became very aware through during my experience was that yes, definitely, I was the one that was creating all this turmoil, because again I had hoarded all these kinds of resentments. I had a lot. I had lost again the supporting beliefs that back them up, because one with the other is the what makes our vibrational frequency. So I'm not good enough,
There it is, the I am statement.
I'm not worthy, right?
Yep.
I I am all these things are being created with they stem from our emotional states, okay? Because, like, for example, if you're a child that continuously was, I'm gonna speak from my experience, uh, was scolded, and everything I did was not, I didn't felt like I was accepted, right? Especially by my mother, from accepted. Everything I did, no matter how much effort I did, she criticized, okay? So I was frustrated. That did a lot of frustration with me. So what I learned, what does that child learn to do? You can bet without, there's no doubt, because I deal with that all the time. And that's what I do, right? I help people recognize these blockages, right? That person, when that person, older Vanessa, or anybody that has been treated in this way, is gonna do the same thing, not only with the people outside. She's gonna be a criticizer, but she's gonna be very critical about herself. So nothing that I did for a certain period of, a lot of period, well, most of my life, although I achieved a lot of things, okay, which I'm very grateful for, I achieved. And once I achieved, I felt it was not enough because, again, I had carried a trauma, okay? It stays, picture it as like a hole. It is a lack because I wasn't accepted. So I'm going to go through life looking, searching to feel that acceptance that I was so much needed to feel. And until I don't become aware that I have that lack
Mindset. Yep.
and yeah, that mindset and that lack of that needing to be accepted and needing to be good enough, and heal that, because I'm good enough whether my mother thought of it or not, because I am divine, okay? And I have that potentiality. But it was me creating the situations I was in because I always felt that I needed validation from others in order to feel that I was good enough. And even if I had validation, I still felt I had not done what I had to do. And so self-criticizing, right, myself, and never feeling fulfilled with nothing that I did, no matter what I did, okay? So, and I explain all this so that you see how deep these things run, okay? And how they are truly the ones that are managing your life right now. Because let me tell you, your subconscious mind runs the 95% of your life.
Correct.
So we're always, this is statistics. This is not, your subconscious mind is the one that is in control of your life. So isn't it not in our best interest to find out what we have there? Because it is, you're going to be reacting and you're going to feel triggers during life that you're not aware. You just react to the situation and you're not aware. So every time you feel triggered, that's why I'm telling you, it comes from a wounded space in you.
Right. And you know why you guys don't want to go there? Fear. That's why they're there in the first place, because you don't want to deal with it. You don't want to deal with that pain,
Exactly.
that sorrow. But I'm telling you, that's your freedom. That is
Yes.
your liberation.
That's
Okay?
the medicine. That's the
That's
medicine.
that's the key to everything. And I told you guys, you have to face your fears. And until I gave you that example, right? Of I thought I forgave my mother and my parents, right? And then one day in 2024, my daughter sent me a picture of me as a little boy, and I immediately choked up and started to cry. Where did you get that from, right? And that was God saying, "You're not done healing. You didn't do it. You didn't face your fears," right? And I let my daughter go, and I sat there and I looked at that picture for 40 minutes and I sobbed, crying, knowing full well I did not fully forgive them. And that's the non-physical saying, you didn't do your job, buddy, right? I had there for 2 hours and go relive each and every one of those beatings, every one of those
Yeah.
hurtful situations, right? That's your subconscious. You have to
Mhm.
go in there and face them. It's brutally hard. So what do? You bury them, like you say, like Vanessa said. You bury that darkness and you carry that trauma, and until you face it, guys, you will continue vibrating at that low frequency, that low energy. That's all. Like opposites attract. No, you will attract exactly what you're vibrating at, right? So you have to go into that subconscious. You have to go into the darkness. Nobody likes the dark. But the more you vibrate, the higher you vibrate, the more light you shed. Okay? You have to do this. That is what we talk about when I tell you guys have to do the work. This is where it's at. Love equals light. That is your father. I told you when I merged with the light, I became that light. I became one with the Father, right? Love is your father. Light is your father. You are created out of those two very same things, as she talked about, your light body. When we transition, when I looked down and saw this hunk of shit laying there, I had no love of it. But yet I was still who I perceived to be Jason Janis, right? But yet I was also one with all of you and the Father,
Yeah.
right? So yes,
But somebody asked also about another movie, The Devil.
I
The
don't know. I've
Devil,
never heard of that one either.
right?
No.
No, I haven't heard about that. I'm sorry. But yes, they were saying also that life put, yeah, it is the perp. Somebody said here, Paulette said, I guess life puts us in situations where we have to change and do self-inquiry. And yes, it is, because why does this happen, right? This is the purpose for our incarnation. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be here, okay? The purpose of this lifetime, of this particular lifetime, okay, is because the soul is trying to reach a higher level of frequency. So, and it's gonna do it through these circumstances, and no other life as than Vanessa, right? No other identity could give my soul, my particular soul, the level of growth that it was searching to acquire. So I have another quote, and please, if you want to write it down, because it has helped me a lot. Life is never about the purposes of the identity we carry. Never. And all about the purposes of the soul. The identity is the experience. And please make this shift, that the soul chose, that will provide the soul with the perfect set of circumstances, lessons, and level of growth that the soul is pursuing during a physical lifetime.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
So we need to see this identity, me as Vanessa, like the experience, not like this is who I am, because I am not this. I am, again, a spiritual being or a soul, right? That is having a physical experience as Vanessa. And Vanessa is the only one that could provide my soul with the level of growth and the circumstances it needed to use that information to grow from it, right? To overcome it. In its soul is always in evolutive path. So it's always growing. Energy always expands. And we know this, the universe is infinite because it has been proven that energy is always growing and growing and keeps on nonstop. So if we are made of energy, which we are, it means that it's going to push everything made of it to grow in every single way. That's why we have these cycles. Like, for example, we age. We never stay the same, right? And actually, our whether we see it or not, and whether we want to accept it or not, we aren't the same person we were 2 minutes back. If we go 2 minutes back, because our DNA, our cells are continuously shedding, right? We're shedding cells, millions of cells in a day. So we're never the same person. Okay, so everything needs to evolve, grow, change, and it's the cycles that rule energy. The loss, the physical loss, that root energy. Okay, so the soul is pure energy, so it will have to grow, and its kind of growth is in the quality of its vibration. So if we integrate our shadow instead of running, like Jason said, from it, right?
Yep.
This is Jungian. If we integrate our shadows instead of, and we align with that which, and we allow the soul to grow during a lifetime to the level that it was meant to grow, that's that balance. It's called integration. And we're living good lives with health. Let me tell you, I work with that every single day, coming from a person that had cancer, okay, and I healed because of this that I teach. So when you do the inner work and you release all this density, all this low vibration, you're going to see that your life is going to take you to places that you never imagined. But in the way, you're going to have to let go of many things, like environments, people that you love, even. You're going to have to let go of things that you have grown, again, emotionally attached to. Because the soul is searching always to grow at this level, and is always trying to overcome emotional attachments. And we have many attachments during a lifetime, okay? And so it's trying to dissolve attachment instead of growing more attached, less attached. Because less attachment means that you don't have needs. I don't need something. I am fulfilled. I am already whole. I
You are
am
to
not
need nothing.
whole. Exactly. There's no need.
Nope.
And that's why the path, the nearest, the fastest highway, like I say, fastest highway to heaven is through our soul, and through maintaining our soul continuously, giving the soul what it needs, okay, what it came to do, aligning with that soul purpose, allowing him to grow in the way it was meant to, and cleaning our vibrational frequency continuously. Because you're gonna see that your life is you're gonna be healthier. You're gonna feel inside, your feelings are gonna be, you're gonna feel fulfilled. No more you're gonna need, like for example me, right, validation to feel that I'm worthy or that I'm good enough, because validation comes from within myself. I don't need others to validate me. I don't need that anymore. That is gone, right? So that's not a need. I am fulfilled. I am whole in that. And with that, you're gonna see that that's gonna impact your life in so many divine ways that I cannot even explain. But it is difficult for our egos to understand that and allow the soul to do what it meant to do, okay, to accomplish what it came to do. But that's the balance that we need, and that the soul is always searching for. Create that balance, that integrate the shadow instead of running from it.
But that comes with, you have to know how worthy you are, right? You've been taught your whole life the exact opposite, that you are unworthy of anything, unworthy of money, unworthy of a healthy relationship, unworthy of this and that, right? But until you can go within and look at yourself and see how beautiful and perfect you are, because God doesn't create anything that's not perfect, right? You are the creation of your Father, therefore you are, right? You are perfect. But until you can go in and truly look at yourself and forgive yourself for what? Thinking that way, that you were unworthy, that you are unworthy of love, to be loved, like I thought my whole life. So when I transcended, I was like, I was wrong, right? You need to forgive yourself and love yourself, right? And as Vanessa said, you are to need nothing. You have been given everything you've needed to have in this incarnation and to thrive and be. But it begins with you, and that's a mindset, right? It's a
Yeah.
mindset, and you were taught wrong, right?
Yeah, I meant to say previously that I was mentioning talking about Wayne Dyer and the ego, which I'm reading right now here. Somebody has a comment. The ego, he specifically explains it that when we're born into our family, right? Eh, because previous to we're floating there in water, which is not a coincidence because water is the best conductor of energy there is. Okay, so that's why our bodies also are made of 70% water. Water. That's not a coincidence. We need water in order to receive the electromagnetic waves, okay, from outside and to transmit the ones from within ourselves, okay? But, and that's why the more hydrated we are, the best health we're going to have. And also, we're going to be more connected spiritually, okay? Because we're going to be able to, the conductivity within our body is going to be higher, okay? That's food for thought. But other than that, he called, he said, when we're there, nobody, that's a process that's going to happen in the way it's going to happen. And the baby, nobody can interfere in that process. It is a self-directed process that will happen in the way that it needs to happen. And so the baby is floating, right? And it's connected, very highly connected to the spiritual realm, okay? To the energetic realm. And once it is born, we're born, and we come out, then the parents, right, take over that child. And now the programming is gonna start, right? So once the programming starts, he calls it the ego because he says, once we were connected directly to God, and then exit God out, ego. That's when we are born into, and that's what changes everything for us, because then we get disconnected, okay, from that pure energy source, and we learn to disconnect ourselves from our feelings and emotions, and so that's the disconnection. We exit God out, and that's how the ego is born, right? Uh, but basically, yeah, we always come from that source, but we have never truly believed it, truly believed it, and
Right,
fully believed it, that we are God.
right. That's
We
it.
are
That you
one
can
with
be
God.
nothing else.
We are made of it. There's no
You can be
separation. We're
nothing. That's correct.
made of it. And if
That's
we
it.
really know, so think about it. You know, the standards that we've had of the standards that we've always had about God, right? That it's the biggest thing, that we've been told all this, right? And it's true. So imagine we never could think that we could have that potential in ourselves to be that. So we've never tapped into our own potential because out of the ignorance that we were it, that
We
we
were
were it.
told that we were separate from Father, to seek outside
Exactly.
ourselves, right? And I told
Yes,
you
yes.
what will happen when you seek outside yourself: pain, misery, and death, right? Jesus told you that 2 millennia ago. Go within, for there you shall find the kingdom of heaven and
Exactly.
God, right? Go
So the
within, not
fastest way,
this.
yes,
Yes.
through our connection with those emotions, those feelings and emotions again are the common grounds. Those common grounds. Let me see. It's funny. My brain just think of useful, loving, helpful hints and stuff that could help. And I keep forgetting at the same time. I don't need to do any of that. But the love inside just wants. Okay. I just wants to give, she says. Yes.
What needs to take place, guys, is we need from the time, and I tell this to prospective parents out there that watching, our sexual energy, who we are, is to not conform and to capitulate our children to the abuse of conditioning to
Foundation.
make them become something that they are not, right?
Yeah.
I think Vanessa said
Always.
this greatly, from the time they're little or born up until the age immediately at 7, if not higher, 12, they are in their most godlike capabilities of creating. If you ever watch a small child playing, you're like, oh, they're playing with a little toy. No, they're not.
They
They are
create.
in their minds and they are creating their realities, guys. They are in absolute full God mode because what did she say? As a young one, you are still very much connected to home because what feeling do you see little children as? Unconditional love, right? What did Jesus tell us to be like? Little children. Why? What we're in unconditional love. We are not to be sending our children to school. We are not to subjugate them to the horrors of what we ourselves have been subjugated to, right? To conform to something that you were never meant to conform to, right? So we've got to stop doing this to our children. So prospective moms, dads out there, watch
Yeah.
this, listen to this. We have
Yeah.
no business sending our children to school at the age of 5. They are in full God mode. They do not need to be indoctrinated to one, the school system, which starts the abuse, starts the hate, anger, fear, rage, right? And also, what do you do from the time you're born? You're taught to conform to a religious institution. For me, Vanessa, it was Christianity. We learned very on how unworthy of life and of our Father we truly were. And in case that's, as we figured out firsthand, that's completely untrue, right? So what we're here to teach you guys, we're here to help you change and reverse your thoughts from fear, as Verena just said, into love. Love yourself. It starts with you guys, right? If you don't love yourself, then that's where you need to start. If somebody say, Jason, who's the love of your life right now? I am. Me, not my children. I have 2 beautiful daughters and 3 grandchildren. I come first. I love myself unconditionally.
Yes.
Okay. Then that love spreads out. Then I can
Exactly.
love my neighbor. I can love each and every one of you. And I tell you that on every live. I love you no differently than I love my own children. None. That's why I'm here. That's why we started this this on Saturdays, this collaboration, so we can bring different points of view in. So not only do you hear it from me, you can hear it from Vanessa, right? So, and she's backing up what I've been telling you now for a few years. And this is beautiful. This is what it's about, right? So when I tell you to live in the frequency of love, I don't care what has been done to you guys. Whether you've been raped, beaten, molested, whether your parents were abusive to you, it doesn't matter, right? We forgive because I tell you,
No, this is, and I say, Jason, that we are all, okay, listen to this. We are all victims of victims.
correct, right? That's why I say forgive
So
your parents.
imagine if we have trauma. I love my mother dearly. Okay, she has Alzheimer's right now, but I know
Oh,
it kills me to think that my mother is gonna live this life, right, without having the opportunity to heal herself. It
right,
kills me because I know from what I lived when I was small that my mother was a broken person that wasn't ever able to heal herself from what she had endured. Okay?
That's what I
And
mean.
that's the best information. And when we see these tragedies going on in the world, children being abused and all that, please understand that this is the experience that parent had, and the level of capacity of information that and lack of love that he was taught to have about himself. So it is from that compassion and understanding that we're able to forgive and feel compassion for others.
That's right.
Because then that murderer, for example, that person who chose to come into this world to do those kinds of things, just thinking about the level of of treatment that he and had to endure to become this type of person and think so low, right? And that's
Right.
why when Jesus was in the cross, he said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. It's the ignorance. They don't have more the capacity to understand that they are also God, that they are, and they're doing this without the knowledge, with a level of knowledge and belief that this is what they are.
He was asking God to forgive their minds because they
Exactly.
don't know what
The
they're doing.
ignorance. They
They're
don't know
ignorant.
what they're
That's
doing.
correct. Yes.
They
Yep.
don't believe that they are God. So they
Correct.
don't know that. So what kind of standards are we going to have? To what standards are we going to compare to when we have never believed? And let me tell you, I've been asked so many times, and I've answered this question. Actually, yesterday, I was writing about it. Because a lot of experiencers and the years we've heard that they have near-death experiences, which are traumatic, which are negative ones. Not
Dark
not
ones.
all.
Yep.
Exactly, not all, like hellish ones. And I'm going to explain what happens with this. Why
Because I've
does that?
explained it several times too. I even did a
Yeah.
video on it. So listen to this, guys.
Let's see if we match.
Yeah, let's see. I'm curious your point of view. I mean, this is good.
Yeah. What goes on is basically this that I'm explaining right now, and I'm trying to convey that since we cross over, and we're crossing over to our state of vibrational frequency, we're going back to energy. Okay? Whatever was inside our energy, since emotions, sensations, and feelings, we cannot stop those ever. Okay? So if they were low, and we're going now to our purest state of energy, in order to merge with that side, which is in a very, very high vibrational frequency, if you're vibrating that low, you're not going to be able to merge with that, because it's like trying to merge water and oil. They are both in liquid, but they are in different densities. So they're not going to be able to mix, right? Like if we mix water and water. So in order for you to mix, now that you are in your energetic body, you're going to have to undergo a process of cleansing. The same thing if you were embodied, okay? You're going to have to cleanse before. So that's where the person then finds himself, right? Because he thought, like, for example, a person that has a lot of guilt, actually, thinks many times that he's not deservable of going to heaven, believes that he's not, because of the guilt he carries. I've been so bad in this life. I've done this, I've done that, and has all these things inside, right? That he's hasn't released. So he thinks he believes I'm not deservable of going to heaven. So whatever he imagined that hell would be, bingo, it's gonna be created immediately once he crosses over. So if he was taught that the devil existed and he's gonna see a devil with horns and a beast with horns and all this, because again, what we believe and we feel, we create. That's gonna be our reality. That forms our reality, whether embodied or not.
Exactly
So
what I said.
whether
Exactly what I
embodied or
said.
not,
Right.
that what you believe and you match with emotions, or what your emotions, the beliefs that support your low emotions are gonna form your reality always. That's why they are at the base, fundamental. So that person crosses over and immediately he's gonna be in hell, which because he doesn't believe and he has all this low vibration inside. So, and once that person realizes, because of the uh, sensations, and obviously because it is traumatic, it's not something that we would like to, okay? So, to experience, right? To feel, again, feel, because they're not physical places that we go to, okay? They're not. They're states of being, of feeling. It's what we create. So he's gonna feel, and the vibrations and the sensations that he's gonna receive, because we don't have eyes to see, but it's gonna create what the experience is, okay? So we're gonna see all these things and we're gonna experience and feel all these horrible things. And once that person feels in a way, at the moment that person asks that, and this is biblical also, the moment that person finds himself seeing all these things and experiencing all this, the person asks for help.
Who do they
That's
cry
what
out
happens.
to?
He cries out for help. The
Yep.
moment he believes, the
There it
moment
is.
that there is a chance, listen to this carefully. The moment he believes, and there is a chance for something bigger, for being something bigger that I am, that can help me, or at that moment, the experience is rescued right there, because his vibration
Shot through
changed
the roof. Yep.
from hopeless, right? From feeling hopeless to hopeful, and thinking that there's something much bigger than this for me. So right there, that's what salvation, what they call, right? The religion called salvation, because that's what we were told, that we were going to burn in hell if we didn't do this or didn't do that or whatever. But that is what salvation is. But who is saving you is yourself, liberating the way, the mindset, the beliefs, the emotions that you realize that you don't want that for yourself, that that you deserve more than that. And at that moment, your experience, your reality changes.
That's
And
exactly
it's
how I
like,
explained it. That
but
is
you need
exactly
to
how I
go
explained
through
it.
that so that you realize, because the soul is going to realize now that he was the one all the time creating all this.
Do you know what, when I told you guys what the void is? Like, best what she experienced, what she's talking about, what I talked about in my video, why some people see heaven and hell, is what she's talking about when Howard Storm, if you ever listen to Howard Storm, when he transitioned over, he had a very dark or hellish experience, right? What frequency was he in? He was terrified. He was freaked out. He was screaming and yelling. He was at a lower vibration, right? Fear. Okay. So when he crossed over into the void, right? Because when you have a near death experience, guys, you don't actually go home. It's like a middle ground. You create
You
your
can, yes,
realities, right? So what is the void, guys? The void is pure consciousness. Now you don't have the 3D to stop your manifestations. The moment you cross over, those thoughts instantly, listen to me, guys, they instantly manifest in front of you. You're, as she said, you're thinking of a devil and evil. It's right there in front of you now. Okay. So his low vibrational state or yours,
beliefs.
you're going to be, or your beliefs are going to be in the basement. Okay. It's still home, but it's where you believe you need to be. That's your frequency. That's your energy. But the moment you begin to, as they say,
Release.
atheist belief or God, Jesus, please help me. Boom, there's the light. They went from the bottom to a higher frequency and the light was there, right? What is the darkness? It's the absence of light. It's the absence of love. So in that moment, they changed their frequency. They changed their state of being, right? So there's God, there's the light, there's the love. They see, well, Jesus reached out to me. Jesus was never there, but they're not going to come to you until you figure this out on your own, right? You've got to go through that process. And that's how you know. So as Gina said, is there a way you can do that? Yes. You have to be in the frequency of love in order to raise yourself out of the darkness, right? Out of that, what you call hell. There is no such thing as hell, but what you don't understand is how powerful you are. On the other side, your manifestations, your thoughts, your fears, they're created instantly. Instantly. You want to see water? There's water coming. You want to see a mountain? There's a mountain. That's why people say, I woke up on the beautiful mountain, because that's what you're thinking. It was instantly there. There's nothing to stop it. This is the only 3D that it takes time to manifest in front of you. So that's where you can change. And that's what exactly what Vanessa's saying. It's your frequency, it's your vibration. When you transition over, how do you want to experience that transition? Do you want it to be loving? You're going to have a beautiful experience like mine, right?
Exactly.
You want to have a dark, nasty, evil one? Well, that's your choice. It's your free will. It's your
Yes.
frequency.
Yeah.
What
But the
about those
thing,
who
I
have higher
always,
intelligence?
yeah, I always encourage people to do the work now.
Oh,
And I'm going to
yes.
tell you why this is so important, why I stress so much on doing this work, this inner work now. Because because you don't want to have, when you cross over, you want to cross to a good state of being, okay? You don't want to have that kind of experience. That for once. And because life never stops. Yes, you're going to be liberated from that, because I can assure you that uh, you're not going to stay there, okay, forever, like you were told or whatever. But the thing is that the soul is always growing, and here's where I don't know, I haven't spoken about this with you, Jason, but basically life never stops. So when the soul crosses over, and whenever it is that it chooses to come back, because whether that I cannot assure, right? Because that is, again, it is a self-will. It's our will, and feels the necessity. When we come back into Earth again, to this realm again, that last vibrational frequency that we carry
Is where you're going to incarnate into.
is what you're gonna incarnate into.
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
that, yes, because vibration, again, it when you're in your mom's tummy, you're being programmed with all this, okay? Those 10 months, those 40 weeks we're in our mommy's tummy, we are being programmed. The soul is programming the avatar, okay? It's programming the avatar with all this information that we bring from many lifetimes, okay? And wherever we stayed in that vibration is where we're gonna pick up. And people sometimes don't understand, but it is the truth. And whatever vibration we were carrying. Why? Because the soul still needs to heal whatever it was left unhealed, has not grown to the level that it needed to. And so each lifetime that we live is very much needed for the soul's growth and evolution, right? And progression.
It's a continuum, as
Yes,
Bardo
yes.
just said. Yes, it's a continuation. Like, remember when I told you
I
guys
never
about the
thought.
cosmic wheel, like the hamster on the wheel that goes round and round? By the time it all ends, there's going to be a billion different versions of you, right? Because life is ongoing. It never ends. Now, once you complete your contract and become enlightened, it's your choice then whether you want to continue or not, right? I really wouldn't prefer that. But for most of us, like I said, when you're on the other side, you're eager to come back. You want that continuation and that evolving, right, of who you are to reach your, again, when you enlighten, you become one with truly with the Father again, right? There's no separation. So, but most of us want to come back. That's why those that are given the opportunity, well, you can stay or go. What do they all do? They all come back, right? They're eager to finish what they started. They're eager to start and finish that evolution. So, as Vanessa said, and I've been telling you guys to do the work, to go within, right? Because what are you doing? Every time you love and forgive, you raise that vibrational frequency, right? So when you evolve or incarnate again, you're not going to be at that level, right? You have gone up the ladder 5 or 6 rungs, right? Or more, depending on the work that you've done. So do the work, right? However you need to do that. Sit in meditation, go for a walk in the woods, quiet your mind. I don't care. It's doing the inner work, and only you can do it, right? Nobody's going to force you to do this. You'll keep coming back, and finally you're going to say, I'm tired of this shit. I want it. I want more, right? That's why you guys keep coming here. You're learning. Your soul is craving the knowledge that it needs to start climbing up the ladder, right? Nobody wants to sit in darkness. It's no fun, right? You want the love. You want that feeling that Vanessa and I feel on a consistent basis from home, because we're vibrating at a much higher level. Not to say that it's different or we're better than you. We're not, right? It's like Jesus coming here. He was a triple PhD while we're going into grade school. That's the only difference, right? But you're going to eventually reach where he's at. But that takes work, that takes effort, that takes commitment. That's what the non-physical wants to see from you, that you're getting up and meditating in the morning, in the evening, that
You're
the person that cut you off, you're forgiving them, right? It's work. It's not easy,
It is a
but it's worth it.
chosen path.
It
It
is.
is a chosen
It's the
path.
empath. Yep.
Yes.
It's we got like 7 more minutes, guys. I want to cut this off at 2 hours. So
It says, is it necessary for a complete stripping away of all that is known for the
good night,
blueprint
Gina. I
to
love you, honey.
activate? Yeah, Gina left, I think, sleep, she
Yep.
said, right?
Yep.
Is it necessary for a complete stripping away of all that is known for the blueprint to activate? Well, I'll tell you this, that the best thing you can do is strip away as much as you know right now, right? As again, for this lifetime, okay? For this lifetime, you are always on your path, okay? We deviate we we separate from our purpose. And sometimes when we have these NDEs, I always say that NDEs are to bring the soul back because we're in misalignment to where we should have been. And
Course
so
correction.
a course correction, our GPS, which is the
Yep.
soul,
Yep.
redirects us again and aligns us to where we needed to be at that precise time period. Okay, so we're always in our soul path. It's not that we need to accelerate and do much more than we need to, but as much, because it's a feeling. Again, it's a balanced feeling that you have done. You have had the intention to work on yourself and to strip yourself, like you said, from all that. But you don't have to overdo yourself also. It's create a balance, right? That you know that you're open to learning, opening to make changes, the adequate changes that you need to make in your life. uh,
Hold
to
on,
have
Vanessa.
to
Hold on.
yeah.
Mel, an STE could possibly do that for you. I've had several out of body experiences and
Yes.
4 experience with the what I call angelic experiences or um, the Holy Spirit. They could do that. Okay. But that's what I call part of your awakening, right? When you are aware that what you're in isn't what you really think it is. So that's what you call the stripping of everything you've known. But an STE could do that for you if it was profound enough
Yeah,
as a course correction
I
without having
am
a near death.
I am the perfect example of that, Mel, because all this knowledge that I speak now about wasn't from an NDE. I've had 2 NDEs. One at, and you can watch, because Tammy did an interview last week of my story, and it's going to come out. I don't know when, but I guess next month or somewhere in there. Uh, was from a super profound NDE STE that I had back in 2017. My NDEs were at age of 18 months. The first one, I choked. I choked with a. Back in those days, we don't use Pampers. We used diaper, cloth diapers. Okay, and I choked with a clamp of a cloth diaper. Uh, that was my first NDE. So I was a baby, and then at the age of 16, I drowned. I had an experience where I drowned in a river in Dominican Republic. But the incredible thing was that I did not back then have any of this consciousness, nor did it redirect me in this path at any time. I had like a lot of experiences that I was meant to have understood but never did, okay, during the course of my life. And back in 2017, I had this most powerful STE, fully embodied, never left my body, not an out of body experience. I was fully embodied when this happened, and I levitated even from the experience. But I can tell you without a doubt that emotional states, again, can produce, right? Can produce a state of, definitely, of this kind of experiences happening. Because that was my case at that moment when I lived this. But yes, as we don't have to die
No.
to know all this no. An STD can be as and more, I would say, because in my case, like I said, I was that day I was praying. Actually, I was praying. I had come to a place in my life very low, the lowest I've ever been, and I was praying, and I was immediately when I said the magic word during the prayer. I said the magic word that I surrendered, that I didn't want to control, because I used to control everything in my life, right? I had lost all faith in myself, and I didn't want to control another outcome in my life. And when I said the word, I surrender, immediately, I felt that 500,000 volt hit of energy hit me, struck me, and my body jumped. And at the same time that that was happening, I was being told, male voice again, strong as we're speaking right now, Vanessa, throw yourself to the ground. I want to speak to you. And my body knew, again, knowing, knew immediately who this was, right? And I threw myself at, actually, where we're speaking right now, this is my, I believe this is what it happened. And I threw myself to the ground. And so, needless to say, my consciousness was merged with the light at that moment, but I was fully embodied, and I don't have words to explain to you, because if it is powerful when we cross over and we leave the body, we are in an energetic state, but the physical body is not at all, is not prepared for this level of energy, okay? It's too high, it's too powerful. But that was how it happened for me. And I understand now why it was meant in this way, okay? Because I was meant to understand, I was, like I said at the beginning, I was meant to ground spirituality. And the only way I could understand how to ground something that was spiritual and communicated had to be that I lived it embodied, fully embodied, without leaving my body. So, yeah, all the knowledge in the universe was within me, and I was part of it. And all this science and all these questions that I had ever had were answered immediately, right? And all this knowledge that I could never ever, in things that I had never studied, like quantum physics, like astrology, like all these things I understood and knew, and didn't know how I knew them. I just did, because again, merging with this level, my consciousness was popped, right? Cracked
Expanded.
open, expanded to a level that I cannot explain. And my body was obviously shaking. It hurt. The pain was incredible, but at the same time, I can tell you that I liked it. I didn't like, just like near-death experiencers express that they don't want to come back. I didn't want the experience to end. I liked the pain I was feeling, and I knew I was being healed from all this low vibration that I had been hoarding for years in my body. And I was being explained how this damaged, how we create all our diseases are created in this way. Because again, as within, so without. Not only without in our lives, we're going to attract those bad circumstances, but our body, from the pressure of and the accumulation of all this low bad energy, acquires diseases, and all diseases have a biodegradable history, emotional history to them. Uh, so I healed immediately I was spontaneously healed from that experience, from major depression and anxiety disorders that I had suffered for 15 years. I used to drink antidepressant. I used to drink Ambien for sleeping. I used to drink Clonopin for anxiety, Effexor for I used to drink a lot of things. And it was like taking a switch when they cleansed me, the process cleansed me, and this merging, I became one, right? So the healing that came from that was so astronomical. I was instantaneously healed, and I when the whole process finished, I went to the bathroom and threw all the pills away in the toilet. Never again have I drank another pill in my life. But the process has kept on, right? But once you're cracked in that way, like I was, it never has stopped. So the conversations continued from there on, even stronger. Every night I would go to sleep and would wake up with more knowledge and more information. And I didn't even know how I knew these things. I just did, right?
You go to bed
And
and you wake up a different person than you
a
were the
different
night
person.
before. There's people say, "Where do you get that
I
from?" It's
was
like I go to bed one way and I wake up with a complete understanding of something else, right? Because
exactly. It's a clarity that it's
it is.
incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And you feel so it's a certainty that
Yes.
it's beyond it's that's why I try to explain. People sometimes get mad when we speak end the years, and people that have had these experiences say is that I know, right? When I speak of knowing this, because it's not a belief anymore, things become
No.
and they are known. You can
Correct.
it's like, and I try to explain it in the way that, like, for example, once you learn to drive, you cannot learn not to drive. That information is within your knowledge, and you cannot, as much as you try to unlearn it, you cannot unlearn it. Well, in the same way it happens for an NDE, that crossover. He cannot unlearn that we cannot die, because it is so certain. And everything that all the knowledge we get, it's a knowing, it's not a belief. So basically, I can attest to STEs much, actually much, because I became aware that what I had back then in when I was 16, and all that memory came, right? So I was aware that I had died 2 times before, but previous to that, I did not know that I had NDEs. It was this STE that brought all this knowledge and everything that has come after it, right? Uh, so
It's kind of
yes.
like when I was going through my ascension process in 2023, and when we talked on the phone,
Uh,
how much pain I was in my lower back. I mean, I was I was crying. I could not sit still, lay still, whatever position, and I was the only I could get up and walk, and I was just in incredible pain. And then I laid back down in a fetal position, and I did this a couple times. I said, heart and mind are one, and I just controlled my breathing, and all of a sudden I began to the only best way I could do it was like vibrate at such a high frequency that my hair was standing up on every part of my body. I could literally hear every single heartbeat. Boom, boom. And it was in slow, like everything was slow motion, right? Boom, boom. And then from the crown of my head, a ring came down from the back of my head down to the middle of my shoulders. And it just sat there. And without speaking, my eyes were closed. I said, make it go away in my mind, right? And the ring traveled down my back and went into my lower back. and took a massive amount of pain away. Then another one came down, right? And it hovered in the just right there. And I said, make it go away, non-verbally, right? And it flowed down the middle and it healed my back, right? And I can feel every breath. I can hear every single heartbeat. And I was just vibrating so high that the pain was so excruciating that what, like you said, cleaning the dark energy out, right? That when
That's
this
what Jesus
STE
did.
happened, that's what I'm saying. I did exactly what Jesus did 2 millennia ago when he was healing people, right? I
He did.
controlled
The
that
energy
power
healed.
within me, the energy within. And then I passed out and I'm like, how did I do that? Right? And I said, when I woke up, I said, I just did what my brother did 2 millennia ago to heal
Yes.
people, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, so any of you that do not believe that you cannot do these things, remember this because it's time for us to go. Jesus said, anything I can do, you can do. Don't
And you will
ever
do
forget.
bigger. You do
And you will
bigger
do
than
more, right?
more.
You will do greater things than
Greater
I,
thing.
right?
Exactly.
So, guys, thanks for coming tonight. Thank you for spending a couple hours with us.
Thank you, Mel. You're welcome. You're
Yes,
very welcome.
Mel, thank you. Paulette, thank you.
You.
Varina, I love you, hon. Thank you
Yeah, we
for
can talk
coming
about
tonight.
this healing. We can next Saturday we can, if you want, we can speak about all the healing part, right?
Correct.
The the different types of diseases and how they're tied with our emotions directly, so that we
Right.
know what type of emotions we need to heal. It is
Because
called,
remember, go
I
ahead.
encourage everybody to search for biodecoding. Okay, this is a holistic therapy that is very helpful for any disease or illness or discomfort that you feel. The body always speaks about what our soul is trying to release. Okay, the so listen to it. Please do anything, even a headache. Okay, is
Right.
biodecodable.
Right. Because
So
diseases are
we
of the
can speak.
mind, they do not exist. You create
Yeah,
your disease, believe it or not.
yeah.
Again, with your thoughts. So, thanks, guys. I love
So
you.
thank you, thank you,
And we
thank
will
you,
see you.
Jason.
Thank Vanessa. Thank you for coming.
Sure.
I wasn't sure if you were going to come, but I was like, you know what? I'm not going to blow my collective off. I'll sit here and
No,
we'll
no.
talk about whatever, but thanks for coming. I truly appreciate it. I look forward to um, next Saturday. But if you want to get
Yes,
together a little beforehand so we can kind of
yes,
get
yes,
together and talk about how we want to tackle what,
yes.
these guys are
I
going to
don't
bring
have
for
your
us.
contact, but
Well,
I
just
believe
stay in
you.
here after I end the stream and
Okay,
we can sit and talk. Okay.
okay, okay, okay.
All right.
Perfect.
Bye, guys. I love you.
Good night. Bye bye.
Bye. There you go.